Hey guys, Fox here, and today it's time to do the Week 10 betting picks for the 2023 USFL season. This last week has every single team but the Stallions fighting for playoff positioning, as the Stallions are the only team that has clinched, and no team has been eliminated. So without further ado, let's get started. The first game is the Mars vs. Generals. Now, the two North games are very simple. Win and in. The loser, it doesn't matter of any other game, whoever wins gets in, whoever loses is out. Now, this is another time where Fox has gracefully misrepresented a team's record. The Generals are actually 3-6, just like the Maulers. So whoever wins this game makes the playoffs. This is essentially the battle of the Generals versus the value version Generals. If the Maulers win this, then I guess the Generals are now the value version Maulers, because they're basically the same team. They both have a dual threat QB who's underrated at passing. Both of them have a really good power back and a really good just speed back, I guess the best way to put it, except the Generals, all three of them are better. But in terms of this point spread, the Generals are 3.5 favorites, as they should be. The money line has them at minus 175, and the over-under is 40.5. I'm going to go with the under, and I think the Generals win this. I just think the Generals are the better team. Look, they're 3-0 against the Maulers all-time in the modern USFL. And it just seems that the Generals are back to full gear. That last game really was a big wake-up call. Now, like I said, they're either going to come out here and they're going to easily win this game, or they're going to completely lay an egg. I don't see this being a tight-knit game like the Stars one was. I see this probably ending like 20 something to like 10. I think the Generals defense is going to do a really great job with the Maulers because, well, simply put, the Generals can practice basically against themselves and know how to beat the Maulers. So I'm going to go with the Generals winning this. I just think that they are the better team. And I think the Maulers, at least you guys can say your team was better than last year. You didn't have 58 Freedom Man, manning the ship with awful quarterbacks. Your team had a couple good weeks, but I think the Maulers season ends in week 10. Now, the second game is the Showboats and Stallions. This is at Memphis. Hopefully, they pack the house. Again, Stallions are actually 7-2. Come on, Fox. Get with it. The Stallions are -4 in the point spread, and they're minus 182 in the money line. And then the over-under is 43.5. I'll be honest, this is one of those where it feels like I guess you'd say the saying, Vegas is trying to trick you, because the Stallions really shouldn't be favorites. We don't even know for sure if they're gonna start everybody. I know Scooby is back, I believe, this week. No, but at the same time, the team really isn't playing for all that much. Yes, they are technically playing for the number 1 seed because their division title is still up for grabs technically, but at the same time, the only other team that can beat them is the Breakers, who will also have the game at Birmingham. So they're gonna have real home field advantage anyway. So if anything, being the away team is better since you get to pick. It's just, I think that the Stallions really don't have anything to play for. The Showboats do. Easy over. I think this is the easiest over pick I have this week, and I think the Showboats win and cover. Look, the Showboats, to make the playoffs, they need a lot of things to go right. They got to win this game. They got to have the Gamblers win. They got to have the Panthers win. And they got to score a ton of points. And that's why I think they're going to win this. Look, at this point, no matter what, they will still be alive in this game. They're going to go out there and they're going to put as many points on the Stallions as they can to try and make up for that 42-2 blowout they had early in the season. If they can do that, they have a realer shot at making the playoffs, but they probably still won't. Like I talked about in my YouTube post, you can go check that in the community tab. They have to have a lot go right. They have to really beat the Stallions, and they have to have the Gamblers really beat the Breakers. Yikes. But I do think the Showboats win this game. The Stallions really don't have anything to play for. The Showboats do, so Showboats win this game. Now, in terms of the next game, we have the Breakers versus Gamblers. This is the first Sunday game. Breakers are -4, minus 182 in the money line, and the over-under is 44.5. This one is a big deal. The Gamblers need to win this to stay alive. The Breakers, if they win this game, they're in, and we already know the South. So, essentially, when you see my way as well, the Showboats will win the game against the Stallions, I feel, and that means the Breakers going to see this as also an opportunity to win the division, which, like I said, really doesn't matter for the home field advantage. If anything, you'd rather be the away team in that situation. But the point is that the Breakers, I feel like, would like to win the division just to have bragging rights, especially because, them and the Stallions are one of the biggest rivalries in the modern USFL. And you know what, to all you Stallions fans, Breakers fans, I know you got a couple hardcore Breakers fans, I do have you guys winning this. And the Gamblers' luck runs out. I think, the gambling team, it's just over. I do think they cover. I think this ends up being a very close game because the Gamblers also need to score a lot of points. Because even if the Gamblers win this game, there's no guarantee they make the playoffs because of tiebreakers and all that. I do think this is an over. I think both teams put up a ton of points. But what it comes down to is the fact that I don't trust Kenji Bahar that much. I really don't trust Wes Hills, but I trust MBT more than any other player. I think Thompson will have a really solid bounce back game, but I think that we saw last week was MBT could be very good at both a ton of passing or a little bit of passing. And I think that overall the Breakers pull out this W, and I think it's going to be mainly because of him. Or we might have the West Hills resurgence game. He's looked really bad the last few weeks, and maybe this is his breakout game again. We'll see, but I have the Breakers winning this. Then the last game is the Stars at Panthers. Potentially, this game could end up being what decides both divisions' second team. I'm not even kidding. Pending how, like I said, the Showboats and Gamblers play in their games, potentially this Panthers game could determine if the Showboats make it or the Gamblers make it, or Breakers for that matter, and which of these two teams makes it. So this is a very important game potentially, but even if the things don't happen, it still matters because whoever wins this makes the playoffs. Stars are playing this game to win the division as well. If they lose, the winner of the Maulers game ends up being the division champion. It's a pick 'em, no spread, makes sense honestly. Both teams, this is a winner in game. I would have imagined the Stars to be favorites. The Panthers are minus 110, well, both of them are, and the over is 42.5. This is the first time Michigan is hosting a game in a while. I expect there to be a legit crowd there. I have the Panthers losing. Yeah, you thought I was going to say the other, didn't you? I think the Stars win this. I think they cover naturally because, it's a zero pick 'em. I think that they're going to win in an over. Look, it's just as a Panthers fan, every week you watch Josh Love play, he'll have like one good week. But aside from that, he just is the most maddening quarterback in this league. And I think the big difference is that while I do think the Panthers defense is far superior to the Stars defense, I think Speaks is much better than Rodriguez. I think Gidna is better than anyone on the Stars defense for that matter as well. It's just, if Love has that breakout game, I think Cookus couldn't do enough by himself to keep them in it. We saw last week that he had almost no time to throw the ball, and he still had an incredible game. So even though there is a realistic shot that Speaks ends up getting 3 sacks in this game, I think the Stars do enough to pull out the W and win this game in a shootout to clinch the division and to clinch their potential 5th consecutive championship game appearance if you combine both USFLs. Overall record last week was an L. With 2-2 in the over under, which is usually where I do bad, I went 1-3 in the other two in money line and spread. I really thought that a lot of playoff teams were going to be completely solidified and end up being just the Stallions. So that's what kind of hurt that one. I also had I literally had every game being an over in that game, and only 2 of them were. So yeah. Overall, this has been Zon Fox. If you enjoy this content, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell. We have a lot of videos coming next week since it's the playoff week. And then we're going to have some videos for the championship week. Make sure to subscribe and be ready for that. And as always, have a great night.